Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Bandwidth for the Tech Guy is provided by Cachefly. CACHEFLY.com. Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on the premier radio networks, including 166 of the best stations in the U.S. of A. and XM Channel 166 on Saturday, October 22nd, 2011. This is episode 815. Enjoy. The Tech Guy podcast is brought to you by Ford, featuring Wi-Fi connectivity with available sync on My Ford Touch. Now your car can be a Wi-Fi hotspot. Check it out in the new 2012 Ford Focus and at Ford.com/technology. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. And it's time to talk about tech, computers, the internet, cell phones, camcorders, MP3 players, home theater, and all that jazz. Your chance to talk about it right now. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. of A. Gina, is it Gina Yates on the phone, Kyle?
Yes.
Gina will be answering your calls. You could talk to her and tell her what you want to say, and she will put you through, and we will converse, you and I. You know, I have to say, I've had the iPhone S for a full week now, the 4S, the new iPhone. And for a long time, well, let me give you the full history. I waited in line for 6 hours for the first iPhone because I was that excited about it. And it was worth it. That was the iPhone 1. Then there was the 3G, right? Got that one. The 3GS got that one. I got them all. I'm not saying I didn't get them, but I stopped using it with the iPhone 4 because the darn thing just was driving me crazy. It was dropping calls. I was on AT&T. That was all you had. And I just gave up. So that was, a year and a half ago. And I went to Android, and I've been a very happy Android user ever since. But the iPhone 4S kind of won me back over because I love this thing that I can talk to it. Set a reminder when I leave here to buy groceries, and it will talk back to me. I just love that. Maybe it will. It's thinking. Sometimes it does it right away. Sometimes it doesn't do it right away. Hello? Is anybody home?
Sorry, I am having trouble connecting to the network.
Well, there you go. And that's exactly what's been happening to me all week long. I love it did it live, ladies and gentlemen. I love the hardware. I really am admiring the software. I think Apple fixed some problems that I'd had. I like the new notification system. I think that's a really good improvement. Well, it's stolen from Android, but it's a really good improvement. Actually, it's where it's really kind of borrowed from is the jailbreaked version of this. If you jailbroke your iPhone in the last generation, you could get this notification system. So Apple just hired the guy. I think they just hired him and said, would you do that for reals? And I have to say the dictation's really great. But you just heard it. AT&T's network is terrible. I've been making calls, and I haven't made a call yet that I haven't dropped all week long. Yeah. Are you on AT&T, Liz? And it's not dropping? Are you using an iPhone 4? She only drops when she goes between counties, which, of course, she does every day, don't you? That's your commute. So you drop every day. You go on the back roads. Well, the thing is, we're sitting now. At first, I thought, AT&T probably has a bad signal up here in little cowtown Petaluma, which is where we do the show in Northern California. But no, I think their AT&T cell tower is right across the street. Because I'm getting 5 bars, and I know there's 4 cell towers, so I think one of them's AT&T. So good signals, it's not that. I guess they didn't fix the antenna design. I have yet to it's gotten very I want to throw this thing through the window. So I guess what I could say about the iPhone 4S is it's great. Just don't use it for a phone. And they are overloaded. You heard what happened to Siri. That probably isn't a cell network problem. That is Apple's network's problem because, you know, they built this big network operations center in North Carolina to handle two things. I think one was to handle this voice command. Because when you make a voice command on this thing, in most cases what happens is it goes up to the server, they analyze it and send down the answer. They're doing all the voice recognition. And usually it's very fast. Let me try again. That was odd. What does the color blue look like? Let's see if she can do that one faster. Yeah. See, I think there's something wrong with her network. Thinking. She should at least say working. Like the start.
Sorry, I am having trouble
Yeah,
connecting to the network.
I figured that. So it's a good thing I don't really need to know what the color blue looks like, or I'd be in deep trouble.
I'll get it when you can change the voice.
How's yours? Do that now. See if yours is working, Liz. Oh, you don't have a 4S. You have a 4. Would you like this 4S? Don't. I shouldn't tease you. I know. That's mean. Well, I'd love to know what your experience is. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number if you have a thought about this. I know it works well in some areas, but Apple's own network, as you could tell with Siri, that's not AT&T. That would, I would think, be the same on Verizon and Sprint, too. Apple's own network is overloaded. And I have talked to a number of people who have an iPhone 4S on Verizon who say, whoa, no, never had that problem. It works really well. So maybe it's just AT&T. One of the things they did on this phone, the reason I got an AT&T iPhone 4S is because they were touting how it's really fast now because they've modified the antenna design. Not that there was anything wrong with the old one. Heaven forfend, they modified the antenna design so it could it had separate send and receive antennas, which is weird. And so supposedly much faster on the high-speed network, only on AT&T, not on the others. I don't know. T-Mobile's working great, says Web1336 in our chat room. If you want to, thanks. Rub in salt in the wound. You know, I love my Android phones, I got to say. The bigger screen, I love that. Now, this week, Google announced Ice Cream Sandwich, ICS. It's their new Android operating system, and Samsung announced a new phone to go along with it. They call it the Galaxy Nexus. And 4.65-inch screen. Wow. And they were making great hay on the resolution of the screen, which was 1280 by 720. Now that is a pretty amazing. That's like your computer in a cell phone. Very thin, very light. Ice Cream Sandwich looks pretty nice. But you know that's you know, I guess it'll be out. We don't know when or anything, but I guess that'll be great. Except now we're finding out that the display that they're using on this 4.65-inch 1280 by 720 display on the Galaxy Nexus is kind of junky. Oh man. It's the name of the screen according to Flat Panels HD. They're using not a Super AMOLED Plus screen. They're using Super AMOLED. It's actually a pentile screen. Pentile is a technique that basically changes the pixels. It uses subpixel sharing. So when they say 720 by 1280, it isn't really. It's kind of a... Well, lie is such a strong word. Fabrication. So, well, I guess we'll have to wait and see. But these screens, they've used them before, are not nice. It's a pentile display, we think. So anyway, we shall see. Everybody's disappointing me now. I guess I'm in a bad mood. You can't trust Apple. Oh, by the way, my goodness, have you seen some of the quotes from the Steve Jobs book? Oh, we're going to talk a little bit about that. That book comes out on Monday. I've got it pre-ordered, but I guess some journalists, AP particularly, already got their copy of the biography. He says, Android is a stolen product. This is a quote from the book. And by the way, the author, Walter Isaacson, very credible, very famous writer and media mogul, had 40 interviews almost with Steve Jobs. Here's the quote. from Steve Jobs. I will spend my last dying breath if I need to, and I will spend every penny of Apple's $40 billion in the bank to right this wrong. I am going to destroy Android because it's a stolen product. I'm willing to go thermonuclear war on this. Holy cow. Can't wait to read the book. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Kevin in Beaumont, Leo.
Thank you. All right. Now I got it. There's a little game we play on this show. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Kyle Benham, our musical director. This man wears many hats. He's running the entire operation here. You know, he's pushing the buttons. He's playing the music. He also has a service. If you ever need a helicopter with advertising underneath on LEDs, this is the guy, Kyle Benham. What's the name of that company you do, Kyle? What is it called?
Boot Camp Lights.
Boot Camp Lights. Just look them up on the internet. But so Kyle picks a song when we come back, and it supposedly has some reference to something we were talking about. Was that from Juno? Was that girl from Juno?
Close. It's by Hanner. It's called Build a Computer.
Hanner. It's called Build a Computer. Oh, wow. I like that. Very nice. I cannot wait to get this Walter Isaacson biography of Steve Jobs. It wasn't supposed to come out till next year. They moved the date up to November when Jobs retired. And, of course, once he passed away, they rushed it out, and it will be out on Monday. And I've pre-ordered 2 copies, one for delivery Monday, one for Tuesday. I'd hoped to get a chance to look at it before now. But fortunately, lots of others have. And some interesting stuff. For instance, he was not a big fan of the president. He told president, which surprises me. I thought, he was along with the, Silicon Valley liberals. He went to enough, fundraisers for the president. He told Obama that you're headed for a one-term presidency and volunteered to do the ads for the 2012 campaign, saying your marketing is terrible. Yeah, that's Steve Jobs. That's Steve Jobs. He in the fall of 2010, the president sent word to Jobs' office that he wanted to meet with Jobs, as he did meet with some other leaders like Mark Zuckerberg from Silicon Valley. He actually went through Steve's wife, Lorene. Lorene told Steve Jobs that Obama was, quote, really psyched to meet with you. Steve Jobs said, well, if he wants to meet with me, I need a personal invitation from the president. Now that, okay, that doesn't happen. 5 days this goes on. 5 days, the president, I'm not going to invite him. Jobs says, I'm not going to meet with him. Finally, somebody gave in. I'm not sure who. It sounds like Jobs gave in, and they met at the San Francisco Airport Westin. That's when Jobs in 2010 says, you're headed for a one-term presidency. He says it's companies can build factories in China so much easier than they can in America because of the regulations and unnecessary costs. He says our education system, Jobs says, crippled by union work rules. Until the teachers' union is broken, there's no hope for education reform. Wow. I mean, this is the hippie who used to walk around barefoot and lived on a fruitarian diet. Other revelations. Bill Gates, although fascinated by Steve Jobs, according to this book, found Jobs fundamentally odd and, quote, weirdly flawed as a human being. This from one of the strangest people in the world said this about, I guess, the other one. I always thought they were kind of peas in a pod. He also said Steve Jobs was either, in the mode of saying you were complete junk or trying to seduce you. It was hot and cold. Jobs said about Bill Gates, he'd be a broader guy if he dropped acid once or gone off to an ashram when he was younger, both things Steve Jobs himself did. Bill Gates says of Jobs, I love this, they're just sniping at each other. he never really knew much about technology, but he had amazing instincts for what works. Now, the interesting thing we also found out from this book is that as Jobs was dying, he and Bill Gates got together and they had a 3-hour conversation, reminiscences about the old days. I think in the long run, they respected each other and felt more in common than they were at each other's throats. That's not unusual. I cannot wait to see the book. Tomorrow night, there's a long 60 minutes interview with the author, Walter Isaacson. There will undoubtedly be more revelations, and the book comes out on Monday. Very interesting. A warts and all biography, which I'm pleased to see. Steve Jobs, in the preface to the book, Walter Isaacson writes that when Walter said, "Why did you do this book? Why, Mr. Jobs, would you allow me to interview you 40 times, even as you as you are dying?" And Jobs said, "Well, I wasn't always there for my kids, and I wanted them to know who I was and what I was up to." And if that doesn't break your heart. 8888 Ask Leo. It's funny, when Mr. Jobs passed away, of course, I and a lot of others eulogized him because he was, in fact, one of the most important men in our industry and really did change the world. And now the other shoe drops, right? We start to talk about the other side, the other Steve. Very interesting. Who's our first caller again, Kyle? I'm sorry, I forgot.
Kevin in Beaumont.
Kevin, Beaumont, Texas. You're first. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo.
Hey, Kevin. How you doing?
Yeah, I listen to Mac Break Weekly every week and every chance I get.
Well, thank you for the plug. That's the podcast we do about Apple every Tuesday on my TWiT podcast network.
Yeah, my question is about HDR photos. I got the capability to do that one. I got the iPhone 4, and I haven't really figured out what to do with these extra exposures. Is there a program?
Sure. So let me talk a little bit about what HDR is first. It stands for high dynamic range. Now, your human eye is amazing. I mean, and it's doing this all kind of with help from your brain and kind of by irising open and closed and so forth. But you can go out to the beach, for instance, and you can see, a crab in a darkest pool and then look up and see the sun glaring on the water. And in fact, you can, it seems, encompass all of that in one glance, very dark to very light. That's the dynamic range of the scene. And when we talk about dynamic range in this context, it's dynamic range of brightness. So your eye, if you're a photographer, you can translate this into 11 f-stops. That's the range that your eye can see in one glance. The best cameras really are only seeing maybe 5 or 6 or 7 f-stops. They aren't as broad. So that means, and we've all done this, you take a picture of a sunset and it's like, it just doesn't capture it. Either the beach is too dark, the sun is too bright. You can't expose for both the darkness and the brightness, the highlights and the blacks in an image. So what do we do? So digital photography, you could have done this before, but it's a lot easier with digital photography and programs like Photoshop and Photomatics. Digital photographers will take several exposures. They'll take one exposure for the darkest thing, so that they'll make, they open up the iris so that they can see what's in that crab in the pool and it's perfectly exposed. Of course, when they do that, I'm running out of time. I'm going to have to take a break and talk about how we solve this problem and what a very good HDR program for your iPhone. I'll tell you about it right after we come back. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. It's working. Thank you, sir. Hall. While we're taking a break, let me just tell you a little bit about one of our sponsors. We're doing 2 Ford barbecues here at the TWiT Brickhouse Studios. One will be Sunday the 13th, I think, and then there's another one in December, probably a month later. And the reason we're going to do these is because not only do we want to have a barbecue and have some fun, and we'll have a lottery or something, because 50 people can come to this barbecue. But Ford's going to bring all their vehicles. People will be able to take a look at these amazing vehicles that Ford's making, including the new 2012 Ford Focus. I'm hoping they'll have my next car there, which is the electric Focus. I'm so excited about that. This new 2012 Focus, and there's a gas model, there's a hybrid model, there's a plug-in hybrid model, and there's an electric model. Not all are out yet, but the hybrid and the gas models, I think, are out. Have, among other things, Wi-Fi access spots built in. So you have to bring your own access. You plug in one of those USB 3G keys, but the car is wired with antennas. So it has a USB port. You plug it in, and now you've got Wi-Fi in your car. It's kind of amazing. If you go to Ford.com/technology, you can read about that and all of the other really cool features of Ford. And of course, to have that Wi-Fi thing, you've got to have Ford Sync, which I've talked about many times. You think Siri's cool? You could tell your car, set the temperature to 74 degrees. Where's the nearest gas station? What's the traffic like on my commute? Of course, you could say, navigate to and call. It really is a virtual assistant. In fact, I tie it in with a phone number, a company called dial2do.com, and I make appointments. I have it read my texts. I have it, all the stuff Siri does, my car does, thanks to Ford Sync. Now you add the My Ford Touch. That's the big screen in the middle, and then the little screens behind the steering wheel. You control it all directly from the steering wheel. You get amazing stuff. You got the app link, which means you can control smartphone apps with your voice, Slacker and Pandora, things like that. That's really cool. You could tell your smartphone, play Pandora, I want my Frank Sinatra station. I can just go on and on. This is truly, the technology that Ford is bringing to the table, they truly are a 21st century car company. And before you buy your next car, just do me a favor, check out Ford. There's so many nice features here. Or go to the website, Ford.com/technology. Ford.com/technology. I love my Mustang. I have a 2010 Mustang. But I think I have to go to the 2012 Ford Focus because I want the Wi-Fi. I want all this stuff. I want the My Ford Touch. Ford.com/technology. Stream. I've been talking with Kevin in Beaumont about HDR. By the way, Kevin, great site if you want to learn more about HDR. There's a couple of photographers I just adore. Trey Ratcliffe is world famous for his HDR photos and his tutorials. He's got a free tutorial on his site, but he also has DVDs you can buy. Now, that's generally speaking for using a digital camera and a computer. He recommends a program called Photomatics. We're going to talk about the iPhone in a second. But to learn more about that, stuckincustoms.com. Stuckincustoms.com. And then my friend Rick Salmon, S-A-M-M-O-N, I think it's ricksalmon.info, has a book about HDR, as does Trey, actually. They're kind of the kings of HDR. So again, the idea of HDR, high dynamic range, is to use the camera to capture the broad range that your eye can see, or even maybe more than your eye can see, which gives it a very interesting artistic look. So the way fundamentally you do it is you take several images, one exposed for the darkest part of the scene, one exposed for the brightest part, and usually one in the middle. 3's enough, 2 stops apart, generally enough, but you want to do it exactly right. You change the exposure. Now, if you're taking 3 pictures, it means things can't be moving in there. You can't have people walking around because they'll be moving, right? Everything. So it's generally done for landscapes, still images, that kind of thing. Then the images are merged, and the software, Photomatics, Photoshop, or others, looks and takes the perfectly exposed parts of each picture and merges them together, so you get one image where everything's perfectly exposed. Okay. Now, it's a little bit of a weird effect. If you overdo it, you can make it look like a painting. If I would do it more subtly. The new iPhone 4, a year and a half ago, new iPhone 4, had HDR built in. It was a very mild form of HDR. Basically, it took 2 images, one bright, one dark, merged them together, and it's slower, but I think it does a good job. The iPhone 4S slightly improved on the HDR. It's probably, and there's a setting in the iPhone to say, in iOS 5, do you want to save all the images, or do you want to just save the final image? And I would save them all, because sometimes, because of movement in the scene or whatever, the one picture is better than 2 or 3 pictures, right? So, but I have a better program for you, actually, on the iPhone. It's called Pro HDR. I think it's $299. It's not very expensive. And it gives you more settings. You have sliders. You can control it much better. And if you want to do HDR, it really is a better way to do HDR on the.
Well, I'd probably do most of mine on the computer.
Yeah, well, and I would probably you wouldn't even want to use the iPhone because you don't control exposure as well as you'd like to, do you? You know.
No.
So
no.
if you have a point and shoot that you can set the exposure to, that's what I would do. And the way you do it, ideally, is you put it on a tripod. You don't want the camera to move either.
Okay.
So if the ideal way to do it is to do it on a tripod and change, you know, most cameras have bracketing, so you can say take 3 images 2 stops apart. That's usually adequate. That's what Trey does.
Okay. Well, I'll look into his site, and then so processing-wise, on my Mac or on my PC, I need to use like Photoshop.
Photoshop does it, but the best program for it is called Photomatics. It's $100. Yeah. If you're really serious about it, you can try for free. If you're really serious about HDR, Photomatics from hdrsoft.com is the program that you want. And they have, I think they have Windows. Let me just see if they have Windows versions as well as Mac. They do have Mac, of course, but yeah, Windows or Mac.
Okay.
So this program is very smart about it. And in fact, if you go to the page, if you want to see what HDR looks like, go to the page, because the very first pictures of the Eiffel Tower, and they show you it's 3 exposures. One, what the camera would normally do, one exposed for the sky, which is very dramatic, and then one exposed for, it's very common to use it when you have sky and land in a picture.
Okay, yeah. My 1-year-old kind of enforced on me that I wanted to really get into this photography.
Good. Well, you don't use HDR on 1-year-olds, I can tell you right now, unless they're asleep. Because they're moving a little too much for HDR.
Yeah. Okay.
Hey, thanks for the call, Kevin. I think it's this is one of many areas of photography that's fun to play with. I mean, photography is an endless hobby, especially digital photography now with computers, and even on your smartphone. And that's one thing I loved about the iPhone 4S. And a feature that I was very excited about is the iPhone 4S has now 8 megapixels. It's a really good camera built in. Hey, thanks for the call, Kevin. I appreciate it. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. As long as we're talking about photography, I might mention this Lytro camera. Have you seen this, which came out this week? Gimmick. I'm just going to say that right up front. I think it's a gimmick. It's funky looking. It's kind of it looks like a kaleidoscope, a small kaleidoscope. It's a tube. They call it a light field camera. What does it do? Well, it's weird. It gets multiple exposures, and the idea is that different parts of the picture can be in focus at the same time. And then you use a slider to figure out what's in focus. Now, if you go to the page, which is probably the best way to do it, lytro.com, and click on the image they have there, you'll see they have flowers. You click on the back flowers, they're in focus. The front flower is out of focus. You click on the front flower. Now, why would you want that? Well, it's something photographers call depth of field. And really beautiful shots very often have a foreground or a central point of the picture in focus, and the rest of it's kind of blurred out, so it draws your eye, right? It's great for portraiture, for instance. But that's kind of a specialty, isn't it? It's kind of, I mean, you don't want to do this all the time. $500 for this camera, and that's what it does. I don't even know how good a camera it is. It's an okay camera. It's kind of a point and shoot, but in a weird form factor. It has to be because they have to have multiple focuses, multiple lenses in there. So it looks like you're carrying around a kaleidoscope, basically, which in red, blue, or black, which you point at people, take a picture. The other problem, if you want this multiple focus feature on the picture, you got to have a special player, because the web doesn't do that. Your computer doesn't do it normally. You need to actually have a special software player like QuickTime so that you can click on the focus and do that. They do have a player for Facebook, so you can embed it on Facebook. And I suppose we'll start seeing some Lytro pictures on Facebook. I'm sorry, $500 for the red, for only $400 for other colors. I'm sure Zephyr asked in the chat room, will there be plugins? Yeah, there'll be, I'm sure, plugins that you can download so you can view it on the web. I mean, that's how Facebook's doing it. I just think it's a gimmick. I just can't get too excited about it. I was a little excited when they first announced it. And I think, soon you will have professional good cameras that will let you basically compensate for a mistake. Out of focus picture, no problem. Badly lit, no problem. They'll somehow do enough exposures that you don't have to worry if you got it right the first time. But a good photographer is still going to get the picture right the first time, right? The best photographers say, look, I want to get the picture right in the camera. I don't want to spend a lot of time editing it. That makes sense. 8888 Ask Leo. Let's see. I'll start a call, and we might have to take a break, but I'll start it. Aaron's in Tustin, California. Hi, Aaron. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo. I was curious. Is there a way to connect a smartphone to your computer, say a PC, that would allow the PC to kind of use the phone's camera as a webcam?
Oh, that's an interesting idea. You might be able to do that with Bluetooth. Let me see if I can find an app. What kind of phone, Android or Apple?
Android.
Android. All right, let me see if I can find something. Hold on. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Aaron in Tustin called. He's got an Android phone. He wants to use it as a spy cam or a cam of some kind. He wants to take pictures with it, but have those pictures wirelessly fed to his computer. Right?
Yeah. Actually, if you want to know kind of one of the reasons why is, I'm a college student, and, sometimes sitting in lectures, professors put through slides really fast. And, you want to kind of get down what they said on the slide, but, you want to take a picture, but you want to import it into OneNote. And OneNote has a feature to take a picture directly from a camera.
Oh.
But, unfortunately, the webcam on the computer only faces me. It doesn't face
right.
me.
So actually what you want is, photographers use this when they're in the studio, a tethered camera. You take a picture, it shows up on your screen.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So there are ways to do this. Apparently, I didn't know this, both for the iPhone and the Android phone. I thought it would be impossible on an Android phone or an iPhone because sounds like something Apple wouldn't let you do.
Yeah, really.
I have seen new iOS 5 does allow you to take pictures on an iPhone and have it transmitted wirelessly. I think through their AirShare to the iPad. I saw a program which I can't tell you about because I hate doing this. I never let people show me things that I can't talk about, but I accidentally did. And I've seen a program that's going to be very cool that will let you do stop motion from your camera to your iPad. In any event, for the Android market, there's a program called IP Webcam. And a couple of guys in the chat room said they've used this and it works well. The idea is that you put it on your Android phone, and then you have software running on your computer, your laptop, I guess. You'd have to be on the same Wi-Fi network, right? You can, yeah. You can. If you can do that, you're golden.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's looks like it's free. IP webcam. Yeah, free.
Okay.
Now, the nice thing about the new, maybe it's a scary thing for some people, but the new iOS 5, one of the things you have on iOS 5, if you're using iCloud, is this thing called PhotoStream. Now, in order to do this, you have to have a Mac that's signed into iCloud. You've converted your Mobile Me account to an iCloud account, and you're turned on iCloud, and you have to have an iPhone that ditto. iCloud has to be turned on. But then in the iCloud settings, there's this kind of interesting feature called PhotoStream that will automatically upload every picture you take to the iCloud, and then from there put it on every computer that's on the cloud. Whoa. So you just got to be careful what you take pictures of because they're going to show up everywhere. Here's a scenario that somebody on Mac Break Weekly mentioned. If you've got grandma set up to automatically share your photos on her television screen as her screensaver, you might want to be careful what you're taking pictures of, if you know what I mean. Do I have to paint a picture? So, in fact, you can do that with the Android phones if you use Google+. Google+ has a feature to turn on that every picture you take in your Android phone is automatically uploaded to Google+, but it's uploaded privately. So you, at that point, can delete anything that would be embarrassing. This is the future, clearly, is this people realize that it was crazy. I mean, my wife, with her iPhone 3GS, has literally 900 pictures on there. And she doesn't really understand that you really want to copy those to your computer. They're just on her phone. She said, well, they're on my phone. I can see them anytime. No, dear. You've got to sync it up. You've got to connect iTunes, sync it up, and download them to iPhoto at least. The new iOS 5, she won't have to worry about that. It'll just do it. And I think that's really what we want in most cases. David, Sherman Oaks, California. Hi, David. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo.
Hey.
So I heard you on Coast to Coast.
Yes.
George Norrie talking about the Kindle Fire.
Yes.
You said it was Android.
It is running a highly customized version of Android. Nothing like the Android you've seen.
Oh, okay, yeah, because I keep looking on the Amazon website.
They don't even mention it, do they? They don't mention Google, they don't mention Android, but it is in fact. And that makes sense because what is Android? Android isn't anything owned by Google. It's open source. That means it's free for anybody to use. Google licenses it in a very liberal way. You don't have to pay Google. You can modify it, keep those modifications to yourself. It's basically given, it's part of the Open Handset Alliance. It's given away. And so that means a company can come along, any company can come along. You, David, can come along and put it on hardware as an operating system. It's a free, it's Linux with some additional stuff on top. So it's a free operating system. So, makes sense. Amazon said, well, we're not going to design our own custom operating system or buy an operating system for the Fire. Let's just take Android and we'll put it on the Fire. So it looks very much different. It's got kind of a cover flow feel to it with big icons and a desktop and so forth. But it has a browser. It'll play media. It's a kind of a regular tablet. Comes out in a month, November 15th. But it is Android, and of course that means a couple of things. For instance, Angry Birds will come on it. Probably wasn't too hard for the Angry Birds guys to make it work. But it also, because it's highly customized, means you're not going to get updates. We don't even call it, ice cream sandwich or froyo. We don't even know what version, gingerbread. It's just Amazon brand Android. So I don't, they probably say it somewhere. It's widely known. When they announced it, they didn't use the word Android or Google at all. But it is, in fact, widely known to be a highly customized version of Android. I don't know why that matters one way or the other. If it doesn't look like Android, well who cares? It's just what's under the hood. I guess we care. We geeks are very interested in that kind of thing. Patrick, oh, wait a minute. Before I talk to you, Patrick, I do want to mention Carbonite, as long as I got you. But I'll talk to Patrick in a second. He's looking for software that can find photos on his computer and kind of consolidate them. All right, Patrick, Camarillo, California. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
How you doing today, Leo?
Very well, my friend. How are you?
Fantastic. I got a question. I have probably 20,000 pictures on my computer, but they're spread all over the place. Multiple drives, multiple directories, everywhere, all over the place. I'd like to finally get them all into one single place and then start my backup over on them.
That's a great idea.
Is there any software that'll look for duplicates, that'll take all those and actually move them somewhere rather than just create shortcuts?
Well, most photo album software, including Adobe's own album program, Picasa, which is free, Microsoft's photo program, will search your hard drive for photos. You can tell it to organize them into a single folder. You're on Windows, I take it.
Windows 7, yeah.
Windows 7. I would use Picasa to do this.
Okay.
Picasa. Now, the one thing that is a little question mark is this duplicates. And the reason is they don't want to be too aggressive about deleting duplicates. For instance, you may take a photo and get the red eye out and have another copy of that same photo. Are they going to delete one or the other? They don't know. So duplicates might be more of a problem. There are some programs to solve that, too. There's one called Ransack Agent that is not just for photos, but for everything. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Oh, that's cool. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Talking computers, the internet, cell phones, camcorders, MP3 players. 8888 Ask Leo is the phone number. The website, techguylabs.com. If you want to ask a question, make a comment, make a suggestion, I'd love to hear from you. If you want to find out more information about things I've talked about, go to the website. James DeRuvo's writing it all down. So you won't miss a thing. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. So we were talking about organizing your photos. Our last caller, the last hour. He's got a lot of photos spread out all over his hard drive. He'd like to kind of collate them. He'd also like to eliminate duplicates. I recommended Picasa. Now, the default mode for Picasa is not to move the photos, but merely to provide an index to them wherever they may live. And for most people, that's kind of what they want, right? They don't want, it's annoying if a program shuffles stuff around. I'm pretty sure, and I'd have to try it, but I'm pretty sure that Picasa will also have a setting that says, just as iTunes does, reorganize my photos, put them all in a folder by date and year and so forth. Lightroom will do that. Adobe Album will do that. A lot of programs will do that. Give you a choice, basically. So you keep them where you want them, or pull them from all those corners of the hard drive and put them all in one place. Your My Pictures folder, probably, right? Picasa does have a kill duplicates feature, but it warns you, be very careful. Don't delete if you're sure. You sure? You really sure? And that's, of course, because what might look like a duplicate may not be. And nobody wants to delete pictures that you don't have a copy of. Probably the best thing to do is use Picasa to organize everything into folders, then back up that system, and then use the delete duplicates feature. Then you get the best of both worlds. Natalie in Los Angeles, you're next. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Natalie.
Hey, Leo.
Hey.
Listen, how are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm good. I heard you at the beginning of the show talking about the 4S. My boss is giving me an iPhone for my birthday.
Oh, you're going to be very happy. Have you ever had an iPhone?
No. I use hers sometimes.
Okay.
I love it.
Yeah.
However, I'm on T-Mobile, and she's giving me choices. Do I want the 4, the 4S, and change over to AT&T, or do I want to get the unlocked one that's going to be available November 14th and stay on T-Mobile?
Well, if she's giving you, I would get the 4S if you're getting a new phone, because it's a better camera. It's got that Siri voice assistant, which is really pretty amazing. And the notifications, of course, you'll get those on a 4 too. I would say get the 4S. You're right, though. The choice of carrier is a little more touchy.
Yeah. T-Mobile.
You're happy with T-Mobile, and it's getting good reception everywhere you go?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me ask the chat room, see if they know. I do believe that an unlocked iPhone, if you put a T-Mobile SIM, one issue is you're going to have to get a SIM cutter, because the iPhone uses a micro SIM, and your T-Mobile phone uses a regular SIM right now.
Well, they said that the T-Mobile said that they sold some type of SIM card to go into the iPhone.
Oh, good. All right. It's exactly the same. You can literally get, and many independent phone stores have them, it's a cutter that just cuts down the SIM card to be the micro size. The important part of the SIM is untouched. It's just cardboard around it. So it just changes the configuration of the cardboard. The advantage of doing it that way, by the way, is you can then reassemble your old SIM. You keep the outline that you cut off. You punched it out. You keep it. You can put the SIM back to the normal size. So you get best of both worlds. Now, what won't work on an iPhone 4S on T-Mobile? 3G won't work. You'll only get 2G. You'll get the Edge system. You won't get their high-speed data. And for that reason, Terry H. is saying, and I think he's right, Siri won't work. You also won't get the visual voicemail.
AT&T.
Huh?
I should go with AT&T.
I would. I would. Especially if the boss is going to pay for it. You might ask her about Verizon. Now, do you travel internationally a lot?
No, but as a matter of fact, we're getting ready to go to Germany.
Yeah,
so.
see, that's why you want a GSM phone. That means AT&T or T-Mobile. Well, wait a minute. I take it back. The new iPhone 4S is always a world phone. So you can get it from Verizon if you want. And what they do is they give you a phone that doesn't have a SIM card, But for $30 a month, you can get international. You can get it internationalized.
Oh, okay.
So actually, Sprint, Verizon, and AT&T, all three of them are now international. So that's good news. You don't need to get it unlocked unless you want to run it on a carrier besides the one it comes with.
Gotcha. Okay, I was asking myself, what would Leo do?
Yeah, well, I think at this point, after my experiences with AT&T, I'd get Verizon.
Okay.
I don't know anybody who's unhappy with the Verizon iPhone dropping calls, things like that. I know a lot of people who are unhappy with AT&T.
Yeah. Okay, that was my concern.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sprint, now, one thing to consider, I also have Sprint phone. My Galaxy 2S is a Sprint phone. It's the Epic Touch 4G. And Sprint has unlimited data. It's the last one to still offer unlimited data. I think it's $100, but you can have unlimited data. If you thought you were going to be using it a lot for data, maybe I would say, I think Verizon's the gold standard at this point.
Verizon.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, then.
Thanks for the call. Boy, you're a lucky person. You got a nice boss.
I know.
Put an apple on her desk or something. Thanks, Natalie. All right. Take care. Yeah, I mean, in a way, this is the good news. Used to be, if you want an iPhone, you had one choice, AT&T. Now you can choose from 3 different carriers, and I think that's good. Choose the carrier that works best places you go. And I also really like it that we no longer have to worry about international. You can have it, Sprint, AT&T, or Verizon, all 3 of them will work international. They're all world phones now. It's the same hardware on all 3 platforms. They have a SIM slot and everything. Now, you do have to pay $30 a month is the minimum for Verizon when you go overseas, but you'd only have to do that while you're overseas. So I think that's not too bad. In fact, you got to pay anyway for AT&T to give you an overseas data plan. So I think that's a fairly good price. 8888 Ask Leo is the phone number. That's what Mike from El Segundo called, and he's next. Hi, Mike. Leo Laporte.
Hi, we have 2 technical questions, one regarding a handheld digital audio recorder, the second one regarding devices that have non-user replaceable batteries. But before I get into that, I thought of something while I was on hold. It's a quick thought. What would the world be like today if Steve Jobs had been aborted because of his unwanted pregnancy rather than carried to term and given away? It's a world of difference.
Yeah, he was adopted, right?
It seems that the more common thing, I believe, is the abortion route. So can you imagine if he'd been aborted, how much different things would be? I started using the Macintosh SE computer at work at Hughes Aircraft Company as an engineer because it had the McDraw and McDraw 2 programs that...
Oh, yeah, I remember MacDraw. Oh, yeah.
We were doing technical drawings for computer hardware as well as some cases for software as well. But
wow.
I was doing hardware systems engineering and software engineering as well at the time, and it was just incredible. And compared to DOS, of course, I mean, it was just so incredible what Steve Jobs brought to the world.
There's no question.
And that was black and white, and that was so wonderful back then. Even before color, it was so functional.
Yeah, MacDraw died. I mean, they didn't keep that alive, but there are many other programs that have that functionality, I guess now. So
right, but it was at the time it was so far ahead of anything else, at least that I was familiar with. It was just incredible. It really changed the world.
Yep.
Anyway, I'm looking at buying a high-quality handheld digital audio recorder, something you could put on your belt, that I can make hopefully real high-quality recordings, at least stereo, maybe even more than 2 channels.
Yeah, I got a great solution for you.
Okay, I looked, and one of them from M Audio's plagued with...
Well, hold on. I'm going to take a break. When we come back, I'll tell you what I recommend. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888. Ask Leo. Check my flow. Yeah. So we were talking to Mike in El Segundo. He wants a handheld recorder that does... Now, this is where it gets specialized. Stereo. If you just wanted like a mono dictation device, Olympus makes really great tiny ones. They record on USB, do the job. But stereo, high quality, that's another matter entirely. I like the Zooms a lot. Have you ever heard of Zoom?
Yeah, I'm looking right now. H4n, is that the model handy portable digital recorder? Is that the one?
They make an H2 and H4. It's Samsung is the company. And these have been used for some time by professionals and so forth. The quality is excellent. And you can get smaller ones and bigger ones depending on your need. So I would just, but these mic capsules that you see on all of them, they're really good.
The built-in mics, are they? Or
but you can also, if you get the bigger ones, you can actually attach your own Pro mics if you really want good quality.
Okay, then there's the issue of condenser mic.
These H1s are directional condenser mics. Those are the smallest. Very good quality, but you can only use that mic, right? The H4n that you were talking about, if you look at the bottom, has connectors, XLR connectors for standard microphones.
Now, what's the XLR? Is that round, like jack?
Sometimes they call it a Canon plug.
Do you need phantom electric current or something?
Depends on the mic. If you're using a condenser mic, those need phantom power. They have to be powered. They're small and very sensitive. They're often used in situations where you need super high sensitivity. I'm using right now a dynamic mic, which is a mic that does not require power. It has a much bigger coil. It's less sensitive. In fact, the reason I use it, besides the fact that I think it sounds great, is that, and I think these do sound, for me anyway, for voice, they sound better than a condenser mic. You'll get a lot of argument on that. But they also have what we call great noise rejection. So because they're less sensitive, they don't pick up all the noise in the room. I don't need to have a kind of a soundproofed room. But, mic choice is a very different, complicated matter. For instance, if you're recording somebody distant, you might want a boom mic that's a shotgun mic that's very directional. If you're recording a concert, probably the built-in capsules are sufficient. It just depends what you're recording.
Okay, does the Zune have user replaceable batteries, or are they built in where you have
It does. You put in regular batteries or rechargeables. I like to use nickel metal hydride. It also uses SD memory, so you can take card out, put a new card in, so you have unlimited recording, and you just put that, you can copy that card off to your computer. It'll record in uncompressed wave or in MPEG 3 and other formats. It's very high. It's actually better than CD quality recording.
Okay, great. Is the Zune highly reliable? Because I looked at another product that functionally looked good. That was the M Audio.
The M Audio is good, and it's very similar, actually.
But that one is the M Audio product apparently is highly unreliable, according to Amazon.com user comments.
Oh, it's always good to read those user reviews.
Yeah, they quit working typically within 6 months to a year, and
that's terrible.
There's no technical support basically, and there's real problems.
Well, that's a shame. No, these Zooms are very reliable. I bought 4 of them from my kids' high school so they could go out in the field. I taught a little course, an intercession course on making radio news stories, and they bang them up. They're kids, and they've done great.
Okay, I want to do videos, and I thought I have to record the audio separately to get high-quality audio, so that's what I'm looking at, where I would use the Zoom to get the audio, and then maybe a Canon EOS camera to do the video, and then I'd have to synchronize the sound and the video, I guess, with software and a PC.
Yeah, you could do that. That's a little tricky, but if it's not long clips, you can. When you get to hour-long clips, it's hard to keep it synced all the way through that way.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And then,
are you making a movie? What are you making, a documentary?
I want to be able to do documentaries, but I also want the option of doing audio only, like for podcasting, but high quality.
Yeah, it's great for that. Now, those Canon EOS cameras have mini jack inputs, so you can buy. In fact, I use a Rode stereo mic, which is a higher quality mic. It sits on the hot shoe of the camera, plugs into the camera, gives you very good audio quality. But the best, well, you're right. This is how they make movies. They record the audio separately. And you'll get the best results by doing that, especially with something like the Zoom, because it records very high quality and you can use the right mic for the situation. So if you're in the audience, you're distant from a speaker on a stage, you can use a shotgun mic and aim it right at his mouth, and you'll get great sound as if you're right there mic'd on the stage. So the flexibility of something like the Zoom H4 is really good. It's $400, but if you're making movies, if you're making documentaries, I think this is a great choice. Very reliable, in my experience. Does a great job. Very happy with it. And you do probably want the 4N because you want those little stereo connectors on the bottom, so you can use the built-in mics for ease. But if you're making a movie, you might want to have mics on the actors. If it's a documentary, you might want to have a boom mic. So there's different ways to do it. And if you're just doing a podcast, that works great for that too. This is what I'd recommend. In fact, we use these all the time. 8888 Ask Leo. Thanks for the call, Mike. I appreciate it. That's 888-827-5536. Toll free from the U.S., outside the U.S., and we often do get calls from outside the U.S. Just use Skype and call that number. It won't cost you anything. Michael, Huntington Beach, California. You're next. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo. It's Mike. How are you?
Good, Mike. How are you?
Good. I've been trying to get a hold of you for a while. You're a busy man.
Well, you know, there's 5 lines and there's 1 million listeners. You do the math.
I understand. And thank you for taking my call.
Thanks for calling.
Here's what we're trying to do. I'm building a national sales force for a brand new company. And currently we're recruiting, our efforts are in California and, say, Arizona. And when we get enough recruits, we interview them by the phone, and then we bring in the CEO of the company for a formal presentation where we get to meet them all. And that works great for right now, but we're going to be taking that on the road as we go across the country. I won't always be able to fly in the owner of the company. So I want to be able to set up some kind of a video conferencing where I can do a formal presentation, and then I can have her come up on, say, an HD screen, and she can talk with everybody, and they can see her, and they have an exchange without her having to fly there.
This is a no-brainer. Now, that happens to be a sponsor, so I'm just going to give you that disclaimer. But I've used it.
I know there's a lot of companies doing these types of things.
It's what we use, and we use this exact purpose. It's called GoToMeeting.
Yeah.
From Citrix. You pay a monthly fee, $49 for unlimited use. And the reason I can recommend it now is it has screen sharing, so you could do the PowerPoint or whatever, but it now has video built in, up to 6 people at the same time on camera. And if you want your CEO to show up, you could put him full screen for the presentation. He can see a return of the people in the audience, so he can see what's going on. It's what they call telepresence. You can go to Cisco and spend 30 grand on a telepresence system. You know, that if you go to those conference rooms where they have the special TVs and the special cameras, very expensive. This is every bit as good, and it uses existing.
It's a fortune.
Yeah, it's a fortune. This uses existing. Everybody's got a camera on their computer now.
Wonderful.
You don't have to spend extra. It's $50 a month. It's you could try it free for a month. So that's what I would suggest.
I didn't know they had that capability yet, but I knew that there were some companies out there that had it.
Yeah,
so.
GoToMeeting just added this. They call it HD Faces, and I've used it. I use it all the time. It's incredible. It's part of the program. GoToMeeting.com. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Phone number 8888 Ask Leo. Gordon in Vancouver, Canada. Hello, Gordon. Leo Laporte here. Oh, Gordon's listening to the radio, so he's about 40 seconds behind now. Tell you what, I'm going to put you on hold, Gordon. You're going to be very surprised when I pick you up and then tell you I'm putting you on hold. Turn your radio down, and we'll get you next. Joe in Austin, Texas. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, Leo. How you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing great, I bought my Mac Mini about a month and a half ago, and I didn't have enough exactly to get the Thunderbolt display with the built-in cams. So,
what is it, $1,000 more for the 27?
Yeah, well, you know.
It's a lot. No, it's a lot. I don't blame you. But, ooh.
Yeah. I'm something on something of a shoestring budget.
Well, that's the problem with liking Apple products.
Yeah, well, I've got my iPhone to my left, my iPad to the right, so
yeah.
Not like that.
They got you, and they got me too. So I'm not. I understand.
Yeah. So I'm looking to get a webcam so I can play around with FaceTime and video chat and stuff like that. And I'm wondering what your recommendation would be on cams and stuff.
Yeah, the Logitech cams are great. There's several. My current favorite, and it's inexpensive, is I think the 655. I'll have to look to get the number right. But if you go to Logitech and look at their webcams. Now, unfortunately, Logitech does not offer Apple drivers for everyone. So make sure you get one that has Apple drivers. It's not that it won't work, but without the drivers, you can't control it as well.
Right, because I was in the Apple store the other day, and they only had one sitting there, and it was, I think, the C910.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Now, as far as, like, between that one and the 655...
Well, the C910 is their 1080p high def, and then the lower one's 720p. The truth is, it isn't really 1080p. But what you really care about is, do they have Mac drivers? And I'll be honest, I cannot remember which ones do and which ones don't. Again, they all work with the Mac, but if you go to the website, you'll see the C910's $100. It may be that Apple Store just sells that because, well, they just like to make a little more money.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, why not? But they start at $50 with the C310, and this is list, by the way. The 615 is $80. The one we actually send out to our contributors on the podcast, because we use Skype a lot, is the C525, which is $60. It's 720p, 8 megapixel photos, so that gives you an idea. This is a pretty good sensor. Built-in autofocus and so forth. But again, if you're using a Mac, you got to make sure that it has, let's see, wait a minute, platform, Mac compatible. Oh, they got a nice little checkbox. Yeah, only the 615 and the 910 work on the Mac.
Okay, well, I guess that makes that choice a lot easier.
Yeah, and the $80 for the 615, which is fine.
Okay, yeah. I'll give one of those a check out, because eventually I do want to migrate to the Thunderbolt display, but this is...
Someday my prince will come. I always tell my kids, when the ship comes in, and they keep asking me, has that ship come in yet? No. Not yet. Still waiting. Yeah, that display is beautiful. And
I know, it'll almost make my desk look very small by comparison.
Yeah. I think, I have to say, and this is kind of general advice, Mac or PC, I've seen studies, and I agree from my own experience, one of the most important, best things you can do to improve your productivity on a computer is to have the biggest display you can handle.
Yes, well, I can definitely say right now I've got about 4 windows open there layered on top of...
You see?
Yeah,
and the new Lion, because it has these spaces and so forth, it does handle that a little bit better. You know, you can have full screen apps and slide over from one to the other, which I really like. So if you're using Mac, do take a look at Lion, because that does solve some of that screen real estate problem. But I have to say,
just bought it, a month and a half ago, and I absolutely love this thing. It is the best thing I think I've ever bought.
Good going. That's what happens. That's what happens. After spending a lot of time thinking about Steve Jobs after his passing, and of course I was devastated. I was in grief, as many of us were. Surprising almost, because Steve had been mean to me. He wasn't a big fan of Leo Laporte. Apple's never been a big fan of mine. And I've been a big fan of theirs, so I always felt it was a little bit of an unrequited love affair. What did I do? I like you guys. And yet, and I knew what a mixed bag he was. I knew that he was, I know a lot of people who did not think highly of him, but it hit me pretty hard, and I think a lot of us very hard. But since, I've really thought a lot about it, and I think that the thing that Steve Jobs had going for him, as Bill Gates said, he wasn't particularly technical. He was a very good marketer, very good businessman, but the thing that really makes a difference in terms of products was he was a designer. He had a designer's sense, and he knew what looked and felt right. He didn't ask anybody. They didn't do focus groups. He single-handedly, well, I shouldn't say that, because he had the help of one of the best designers in the world, Johnny Ive, created these products out of a design sensibility. And I think that's why we fall in love with them, because there's something about them that's elegant. And you can't say that about a lot of technology. A lot of technology is utilitarian, but Apple's stuff was always elegant and somehow beautiful. One of the things we learned in that Walter Isaacson book, which comes out on Monday, is that Johnny Ive, the designer who did the iPod and then later the Macs and the iPhones, is the most powerful man after Steve Jobs at Apple. Nobody could say no to Johnny Ive. Whatever Johnny wanted, that's what Johnny got. Whatever Johnny said goes. And that was one of the things that I think that that made it. Steve Jobs was a designer himself, and the #1 person at Apple was another designer. Just elegant. So I could say I understand, Joe. It's a love-hate relationship because it does cost more, and it doesn't always work. As I was having trouble with my iPhone 4 just today, but boy, it's beautiful. Let's try Gordon again in Vancouver. Hi, Gordon. You got it all wired out now? You listening to the phone?
Hello.
Hey, Gordon. Welcome to the show. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Yes. What I wanted to ask was, what's the best way to get internet radio into your car?
Oh, I'll tell you. That depends on the car, of course. But the ideal way is through a smartphone.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a smartphone?
I don't, but I was thinking about getting one. But anyway, what I wanted to know was, is there like an aftermarket radio that's good to hook your smartphone?
Oh, okay. Well, no, you don't need to, but that would be a legitimate question. I mean, if you didn't want to get or didn't have a smartphone, I wonder, and maybe the chat room knows, does anybody make a head end that has internet radio? I bet they do. I bet they do. Now, in order for an internet radio to work in your car, you have to have internet access. That means you have to have something with 3G. So, maybe not. But the easiest way, and the way I do it is, if you've got a phone, a smartphone that has 3G, has data access, so as you drive, it stays online. Because internet radio doesn't work without an online connection. That's job one. And then you can connect that smartphone to your audio system, and there are a variety of ways to do it. The simplest way is if your audio system, and almost all do now have, a mini jack. You can take a cable, plugging the audio out on your smartphone into the cable in your stereo system in your car and set it to aux or whatever and play it that way. Many newer cars have Bluetooth. You want Bluetooth stereo, A2DP, on both your phone and the car, and then they could do it wirelessly. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Someday we'll all have internet radio. Actually, I'm sure the radio stations, the 166 wonderful radio stations that carry this show, are not too happy to have me talking about this. Well, they're talk stations. They're safe. It's the music stations really that should worry about internet radio in the car. Car radio in the car is the last stand of broadcast terrestrial radio. Most listening is in the car, and the reason has been that internet radio has not encroached on car listening is because it's difficult. You've got to have internet access as you drive down the road. They may even be costly because, remember, if you're streaming music, you're using bandwidth. If you have a limit, if you have a 1, 2, 3 gigabyte plan, you might go right through it. So the issue is, if we want to listen to internet radio in our car, as Gordon did, how do we do it? Best way, I think, probably the only way, is to have a phone that has 3G. Because, and by the way, you don't have to worry about the battery because you can keep it plugged into your cigarette lighter, right? And then the next question is, well, how do we get the music out of the phone into the car stereo? And I started talking about it, but I ran out of time. So the easiest, simplest, most primitive, I guess, way would be to take the audio out of the headphone jack on the phone and put it into your car stereo. So you need a car stereo, and I think all modern car stereos at least offer an analog input jack. Next best way would be also wired, would be if the car supported, if you have an iPhone or an iPod, the 30-prong plug on the iPhone. Fords, for instance, do, where you plug in the USB into the car and then the 30-prong plug into the iPhone. My favorite way to do it, though, is how I do it, is with Bluetooth stereo. Now, this requires a phone that does A2DP. That is the specification, the profile for stereo audio with Bluetooth. Bluetooth is the wireless technology that, most people are aware of because you have a Bluetooth headset. That's one profile, the Bluetooth headset, but it's not high quality. So if you've ever tried to listen to music on your Bluetooth headset, it sounds like, phone call. Well, there's a high-quality Bluetooth profile called A2DP that's both stereo and high quality. So if your phone supports it and your car supports it, and they kind of mutually support each other, that's the best. I get in my my Ford Mustang. The Ford Sync has A2DP. The iPhone has A2DP. And it will pick up where I left off. It's great because I listen to audiobooks off my iPhone. But you can do it with internet radio. In fact, the newer Fords, and I should mention Ford's a sponsor of some of our podcasts. Just a disclaimer, the newer Fords actually have apps. They'll support Slacker Radio and Pandora. So you can tell the car, play my Pandora, play the Johnny Cash Pandora station, and it will actually launch Pandora on your phone and start playing it through the car stereo. So there are degrees of compatibility, but I would say any modern car stereo will certainly at least support an analog connection. That shouldn't be a big deal at all. 8888, and by the way, it's great. I mean, internet radio is amazing. You can not only listen to this show, but you can listen to, get the iHeart Radio app, and you can listen to hundreds of radio shows and radio stations all over the country. My favorite is TuneIn Radio Pro, which is available on Android and iPhones, and you can listen to just a ton of stuff, including, police scanners, all sorts of stuff, emergency radio as well. 8888. Thomas Temecula, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Thomas.
Hi, how you doing, Leo?
I am well indeed. How are you, sir?
It's great to finally talk to you. I've been listening to you for the past 10 years, even when you were doing the screensavers a long time ago.
Oh, yeah, an old tech TV guy. I'm wearing a screensaver shirt right now.
No way. Yeah, that's what kind of got me. What got me started.
Is it true that shirts shrink over time? Because this is awfully tight.
Well, I know if it's not pre-shrunk and it's 100% cotton, it's going to go downhill.
Either I've grown or this shirt has shrunk. What can I do for you?
Well, I since late 2008, I've had the same MacBook Pro, and it came with an installed 2 gigabytes of DDR667 memory, and I upgraded it to 8 and then backed it off to 4 gigs, recognizing that it was only seeing 3 of it. I had tried to install Logic Studio and Logic Pro just because I was trying to get into some composing, and I wasn't able to open as many soft synths as I thought I should have been able to open up with that amount of RAM.
Well, can you see how much RAM the system thinks you have?
It does, in fact, say that there's 4 gigs installed, but it never utilizes over 3.
Well,
and it's,
then yeah, it could be. I don't know about on the Mac. I know on Windows, some of that 4 gigs is reserved for system memory and for video memory, and that may be why you're not getting all 4 gigs.
Okay, so the onboard video card itself doesn't support.
It may be using some RAM, yeah. Under the Apple menu, you can get About This Mac. Do that, but then there's another button that you can press that says More Info. Press that, and it'll run the system profiler on versions previous to Lion. And on Lion, it has its own kind of built-in About This Mac, and it can tell you a lot more about what's going on. There's even an activity monitor that will tell you how much RAM is being used. I think with a little investigation, you'll find that the Mac is using all the RAM you've got. You certainly should use the most recent operating system because I think that's going to improve it. But that Mac is recent enough; it's only a couple of years old that it should be able to use 8 gigs. Maybe because it's a laptop, it can't see all the memory, because I know some of the MacBooks didn't support 8 gigs, so you can only put as much in as you can support, I guess. But that sounds like it's seeing it all. How much available is a different matter. Remember, the operating system takes up some, video takes up some. So how much is available may be different. I would look at the system profiler, and it'll tell you what's going on, if you've got all that RAM, if it sees all that RAM, and then if you want to know how RAM's being used Activity Monitor. I guess Terry H. in the chat room says the 2008 MacBook Pro, which is what you have, was limited to 6 gigs. So you could put 2 more gigs in there. I guess it probably only has 2 slots, so you'd have to put 2 3-gig sticks of memory, and that's just weird. Also, make sure you start Logic in 64-bit mode, Musician News is telling him. So that could be the problem. If you're running it in 32-bit mode, of course, you can only see a total of 4 gigs. Some of that will be taken up. That's the problem with Windows. So that's a good point. If you get info on Logic in the Logic app, it'll tell you which mode it's running in, 32 or 64. Thomas, make sure you're running in 64-bit mode. Then it'll use all the RAM you've got. Thank you. See, the chat room's brilliant. They're smart people. If you want to find out how to get in the chat room, what my phone number is, listen to previous shows. This is episode 815, so there's quite a few previous shows. All of that is on the website, techguylabs.com. Thanks to James DeRuvo who's taking the show notes there. Click the chat link to join us in the chat room. 850 people in there. It's a lot of fun. You can be part of my brains. More calls to come. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. It's time to talk computers, the internet, cell phones, camcorders, MP3 players, home theater, and corn mazes. My entire staff last night went to a corn maze. You guys got lost too, didn't you? How'd you get out? Did you call 911? You went right. You just charged through the corn. And Liz Romero decided she wanted to taste the corn. Even though there's signs all over the corn maze that say, this corn is inedible, do not attempt to eat it. Did you just pull an ear off? She pulled an ear off. And how did it taste? Was it sweet and delicious? It's just corn. Did you bring a pot of boiling water with you? No. The funny thing is, I don't know why, the farmer was in the maze and caught her. And said, kids, don't eat my corn. Get off of my corn, you kids. It's in the footage? Well, we have footage. Wow. 80. It's Halloween, isn't it? 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. 888-827-5536. Chris is on the line from Laguna Niguel, our next caller. Hi, Chris. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy.
Hi, Leo. Thanks for taking my call.
Thank you so much for calling. I appreciate it.
My husband and I like to travel, and I like to get more into travel photography. We need a new camera, and we're looking at the Canon SX30IS. What do you think of that one?
I like it a lot. You know, it really depends a lot on, A, your budget, and B, on what you're looking for. So one of the reasons that people like this is a kind of a big camera, but one of the reasons people like it is because it has a very wide angle. And I think for travel photography, that's great because you're taking pictures of buildings and so forth. Does good video, which I think is important. I think it's something to consider. And it has crazy zoom. Now, I think that's too much. Personally, it has a 35x zoom. And can I tell you something? Anything over 3 or 4x, you cannot hand hold. You'll have to put it on a tripod or on a shelf or something.
Okay.
So now, I don't usually tell people to get that kind of zoom, especially when you're traveling. Zoom is not going to be, unless you're taking pictures of birds in flight a mile away. Most of the time, zoom is not what you want. So this is an okay camera, but you notice in order to get 35 times zoom, it actually is kind of bulky, isn't it? And that's what happens when you have these big zoom cameras. You trade zoom for bulk.
Do you have a different suggestion?
Well, I'm not going to say no to this. I think it's a great idea to go to the store and look at it. It's about $356 on Amazon. That's a pretty good price. The other camera I would look at is also from Canon. It's called the S95. Same image stabilization, but it is and same great video. I mean, really great video, which is one of the reasons I really like these Canon pictures. You don't need to bring a camcorder with you. You got everything you need, right?
Right.
But the S95 fits in your shirt pocket.
Ooh, that's
nice. Yeah, because it's only got I think 3.8 zoom. Now 3.8 zoom is a lot of zoom. I mean, it's a tenth of what you're asking, but it's still a lot of zoom. And I think plenty. It's a 28 millimeter wide angle lens, similar to the one you were talking about. They do have that excellent Canon hybrid image stabilization. I think that's very good. But this is much more compact. So I guess the question is, how important compactness is to you?
That is important in as much as like I said, we use it during travel.
Right.
I also, now it has stabilization, you say?
It does. This is in my opinion, this is the best point-and-shoot camera on the market. The S100 has been announced, but I don't think it's out yet. I think the S95 is the current top of the line. If the S100 comes out before your trip, let me just see if Amazon is selling the S100 yet. Oh, it looks like they are. So that would be the one to get, the S100.
The S100.
Nope, not yet released. Pre-order. So the question is, when is it going to be out? It's got higher resolution. It's got 5x zoom. Still very compact. A little more expensive because it's the latest, greatest thing, you know.
Yeah.
But these are excellent.
The latest and greatest.
Yeah, do you? Oh, well, all right. I'd say the S95 or the S100 would be very good if compactness is important, more important to you than massive zoom. A lot of people come to me and say, I want, really long zoom. But remember, when you zoom that much, it's got to be in daylight because, it's not letting much light in anymore. And you got to have it on a tripod.
Right. Now, another thing is on the S95, for example, if I take inside pictures and there is enough lighting,
it's better at low light than the other one is, yes.
And what I found on my old camera, whenever I turned off the flash, it ended up being looked blurry.
Right.
Because it's not on the tripod.
Exactly.
Does the S95 have an image stabilizer in it?
It does, but that's not going to help you with the blurry because the blurry can be people moving. Remember, the reason it's blurry is when it's dark, it has to take a longer exposure to let enough light in to have an image. And by doing so, any movement in the subject or in your hand will be blurred. And image stabilization can only do so much, and it won't help at all with people moving around.
No, it's rooms and things. I'm in the travel industry. I take pictures of ships inside, outside, etc.
Yeah, fun. Well, now if you get really serious and you want to spend money, you're going to get the best low light performance from the higher end digital SLRs, but they're pricey. Now we're talking thousands and thousands of dollars.
No.
No.
Go with the S95.
I think you're going to like the S95. Image quality will be equal to that other camera. It just doesn't have the big zoom.
I don't zoom that much.
Yeah, I think that then you don't want the big thing.
Okay.
And you're right. And they're saying in the chat room, Murray on Travel says you need a wider angle lens to get those cruise cabin interiors. I agree. This is 28 millimeter. You don't want any wider than that. That's pretty wide. But also, you can use panorama software to stitch together a panorama, which is often what I do in a cruise cabin.
True.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you so much. You've been incredibly helpful, as you have been over the last several years.
Where are you going, Chris?
Luxor to Barcelona.
Luxor in Egypt. So you're going to see the Valley of the Kings and Queens.
Yeah.
You're going to take a cruise ship down the Nile?
No, we've already done that. We're doing a Regent 7 Seas cruise from Luxor to Petra, Sharm el-Sheikh, Ephesus, Rhodes, Cyprus, Malta, and Barcelona.
That sounds like it's the perfect cruise. And Barcelona is my favorite city. Luxor and all of Egypt, an amazing place to see. What a great trip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're looking forward to it. It should be fun.
You spent enough on that trip, you probably should get a better camera. I'll tell you, now this is a very expensive camera. I brought my Canon 5D Mark II to Egypt when we went 3 years ago and took some amazing pictures. I'm very glad to have them.
But also going to Masada.
Oh, my goodness. What an amazing trip.
Yeah.
Have a wonderful time.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. I'm jealous. My pleasure. Yes, the paella in Barcelona and the architecture, the Gaudi architecture, amazing. Wonderful city. George in Ohio, you're next. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Leo.
Hey.
I have a emergency phone that cost me 84 cents a month to keep the number.
Isn't that great? Now, it's not activated, though, right? You activate it when you need it, or is it always active?
It is always active.
Oh, that's great. Well, hang on, because this is what my mom needs, and I want to know what you're using. We'll find out when we get back. An emergency cell phone. That's a good thing to have. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. burner. A burner. What kind of salad? Well, I would say it's a good salad. All right, let's watch the Children of the Corn.
Hey, let's face it, we're all trying to save money these days. We're all trying to find the best value for the buck. And when I think about value, man, the first thing that comes to mind, DSL Extreme, the best value.
Well, you know what? I think the issue on this, it was playing in VLC, but the issue was the audio.
DSL Extreme.
Let's try this.
There's no dialing in. There's no.
All right,
I don't know how my audio settings are. Everything's peaking.
DSL Extreme. That's who I use.
It's like in the.
Burke kind of reminds me of the Stig from Top Gear right now.
Totally.
Oh, I stepped in something.
Pearl Thurrott
with you? The ground.
Funny.
Turn your camera away from me.
No, that's the wrong way. It loops. It loops. We were your guinea pigs.
Liz, you're crazy.
It loops.
All right, so we're going to loop.
It does loop.
Let's loop.
You want to loop? Well, there is a shortcut. Someone made a shortcut.
You jerk.
No corn to trample corn.
Wait. What is this? It's a corn maze.
There's a trample corn.
Go that way. Follow the blood.
No. Wait, do it. No. This actually lets you in.
Wait, are we supposed to go this way?
I don't know, but I'm supposed to do it.
Hey guys, you're gonna go in a loop.
A sage business knows.
Is there a checkpoint? Checkpoint.
Where's our checkpoint?
Hit save. Did we go back? Oh, good. Okay.
There's other people in the corn maze.
Watch out.
We should have
That's Ayaz, of course, and Liz Romero. You know them from Ion. Alex Gumpel's the guy with the other camera. Chad's carrying this camera.
Follow the helmet.
Burke's the guy in the helmet. And that's Lisa, Colin's girlfriend. And
to make out in the corn maze?
Oh, my layer shot.
Why are you filming? Because we're awesome.
You guys. This is last night in the corn maze.
He's my buddy.
That's Chad's friend who looks just like Chad.
It's okay, buddy. I will protect you in the
These are
maze.
going to be two great angles.
Yeah. Cut between them. They're left and right. You guys with the lights.
Buddy, out! Crap!
Okay, camera's in the front probably, right? Because they're bright.
Get up here.
That's Colin in the red hat, I think.
That's right. That's the point of this.
Oh, there's extra people.
Extra people.
I hope you got releases.
Sunlight. I don't like leading.
Wait, where did... All right. Okay, so how has your day been so far?
Oh, it's been just dandy.
Yeah? Do you have any confessions to talk to the camera about?
No.
I am so scared.
How long have we been here? I lost track of time.
It's been hours. It's been days. You get lost. Turn it down anymore.
Follow the helmet. Holy crap!
Hey now.
You guys.
Okay, we're missing other directions.
Are there even people?
How long were you in that maze?
Oh my god, it already happened.
Ayaz.
Was that because you weren't effectively navigating it, or?
I think you're left.
Listen to the helmet. How did the helmet get back there?
I think you're going in circles.
I'm not even worrying.
Let's do it again. Let's do it again. Let's do it again. Ow. Fun. I don't know where to go.
Oh.
I think we go this direction.
The night makes a stop by the side of the road for tea. I look up in the distance, a branding iron is stuck up in the night sky. It's in the shape of America and it's in flames, but I'm not sure why. Into the cornfield.
Leo Laporte, the tech guy. That's where my staff was trapped last night, in a cornfield. Who is that singing? That's great. I love that.
Colin Hay.
Colin Hay. Hey. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number, 888-827-5536. George called, and he has a cell phone that costs him 84 cents a month.
Actually, yes. What I did was I purchased one of those T-Mobile pay-as-you-go.
Okay.
And if you purchase a $100 card, that gives you 1,000 minutes. That's good for 1 year. At the end of that year, you buy a $10 card. It extends the minutes for another year. So if you haven't used but maybe 900 minutes, you get to keep those minutes for another year.
Oh, that's awesome. So the upfront expense is $100 plus the phone.
Right.
But after that, it's $10 a year just to keep it.
Just to keep it going.
That's great. I will. And you get that from T-Mobile. Do they call it a Go phone? I know AT&T calls them a Go phone. What does T-Mobile call those?
I think it's pay-as-you-go.
Pay-as-you-go. Okay.
Yeah.
George, thank you. Yeah, because we've been, my mom had a Cricket. I think that's what it was called, and it was expensive. And the thing is, you had to pay money to deactivate it and reactivate it. And so, she only uses it when she travels because she's home most of the time. But when she comes to visit us, she wants a cell phone. So when she arrives at the airport, she can call and stuff like that. Do you get data of any kind? Do you get texting or anything?
Actually, no. I don't. If you want data, you can pay like $1.49 out of your money that's allotted. That's in there.
I get it.
For an unlimited day pass.
Oh, so you even can do that.
Yeah, and if she starts getting used to the cell phone and starts using it quite a bit, she can switch to another plan. Like T-Mobile has the $30. You get 1,500 minutes and/or texts, plus 30 megabytes of data.
Cool.
Prepaid $30 a month.
George, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, I like T-Mobile. I have a T-Mobile Android phone. I have one of everyone. I have Sprint, T-Mobile, AT&T. Verizon, I don't have a phone yet. I'm waiting for this new Galaxy Nexus that they announced this week. That'll be the first phone to be running Google's new ice cream sandwich. The new Android version, Android 4.0, is called Ice Cream Sandwich. And the whole idea Google has for this is that it merges features of the cell phone and the tablet operating systems, gingerbread and honeycomb. I'm starting to get a little diabetic shakiness here. This is a little sweet, isn't it? Gingerbread, honeycomb, and ice cream sandwich. They're all desserts. To give us a operating system that Google thinks will work fine on phones and tablets. I'm always skeptical when they say, there's one operating system that's going to work on all different screen sizes. I'm always a little skeptical. Now, Apple's done a pretty good job of making the iPhone and the iPad run the same OS. But really, the iPad is just like a blown-up iPhone. It's like a bigger iPhone. And I guess that's what Android tablets will be. We'll see. That phone, I don't know what they said. It'll be available in November. They didn't say who, where, what, why, how much, anything. Just available in November. My guess is it'll be a Verizon phone. I think that all the money's on it being a Verizon phone at least. Ken in Michigan, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Ken.
Hello. How you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm great. My wife and daughter are going to Washington, D.C. on Monday, and she mentioned just this weekend that she wanted to try to transfer her photos from a SD to like a hard drive.
Yes, well, you should absolutely do that. In fact, she means as she travels.
Right.
Yeah, I do that, and I think it's a very good idea if those photos are precious in any way to you, to not just, there's a couple of choices. You could do kind of an analog of what we used to do with film cameras, which is, if you're going on a trip, you'd bring 10 rolls of film, you'd expose them all, bring them back, get them developed. You could do the same thing with memory cards. Get 5 memory cards. That's, in most cases, that's more than 1,000 pictures, probably more than 5,000 pictures, and bring them all back. The problem is, what if you lose one? What if it fails? You don't have a backup, right? You have one. Anytime you have one copy of anything, it's at risk. So she's got a good idea. She says either she's only going to buy one memory card, transfer it off to hard drive, and then keep using it. That's okay. Or buy a few, transfer it off to hard drive. I'd like her to do both, right? Have several memory cards, enough for the whole trip, and copy it to hard drive. You know what I do? I do 3 things. I bring enough memory cards for the whole trip, although since I'm such a crazy shooter, sometimes that's not enough. I copy it to one hard drive external hard drive that I carry with me, a little pocket drive. And then I have another one. I copied the first hard drive to the second one. So now I have 2 copies. I keep one in my carry-on, one in my luggage. This is how much I don't want to lose my data. So I have 3 copies of every picture, one in the memory card, one in an external hard drive in my carry-on, one in an external hard drive in my luggage. It's very easy to do, Ken. What software do you – your Windows?
Well, actually, the problem is she can't take a computer. So.
Oh, yes. That I should have mentioned that's kind of in the middle of these hard drives. Yeah.
Right.
So what she wants is what's called a digital wallet.
Okay.
And you can buy an adapter for an iPod, for instance, that will let you copy the card onto the iPod. But a digital wallet is really just a hard drive that has a memory reader.
Yeah, because she mentioned copying it to an iPod Touch. I mean, can that fit in an iPod Touch, too, as well?
Yeah,
or?
you could do that. If you have a big enough iPod Touch, you can buy the camera adapter that plugs into the 30-pin port. Then you put the memory on there and copy it to the Touch. That's how you... The problem is you're limited to the space on the Touch, and if it's only 32 gigs, it's not going to go a long way.
Yeah, and she's already limited on that, so that's not going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, it's not cheap, but Epson, they make my favorite, the P6000 Multimedia Storage Viewer. It's a external hard drive, pretty big one, that has a card reader. A lot of pros use this.
But none of them are, like, probably less than $150.
No, they're like $500.
Ooh.
Hello! Well, you know, the code word there is a lot of pros use them. That's code for you can't afford it. That's a code for, it's no normal human would want to use these. So then the alternative is to use an iPod or an iPod Touch, and just make sure you have a big enough one. That's why nowadays Apple and Microsoft and others are giving you this kind of cloud service. When you take a picture with a Windows phone or an iPhone or a Google phone, they just kind of copy it up to the internet. I think it's only a matter of time before people don't even carry cameras with them anymore. The phone's camera will be good enough. Certainly the iPhone 4S, an 8-megapixel camera, is good enough. And when you take a picture, it uploads it to the cloud and downloads it to your computer, so you never risk it.
Right. I told her the same thing. I said, if you had a computer, you'd be fine.
Yeah. Well, how big is her iPod Touch?
It's only 8 gig, and she's really kind of maxed it out.
Yeah, well, she'd have to erase it.
Right.
And even then, if she's using 6-gig cards, she's only getting a card and a half on there. You know what the cheapest thing to do? Buy more cards.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right.
She'll only have one copy, but at least she'll have enough room. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. So the chat room has come through again. I always call the chat room kind of my brains, my externalized intelligence. They know a lot. And whenever I don't know something, which is pretty much a lot, they always seem to know. I guess that's because there's 1,000 people in there, and somebody going to know something about something. So I haven't tried this, but this is a recommendation for our last caller from a company called Wolverine. It's the PicPac, P-I-C-P-A-C, high-speed memory card reader and storage. For $117, you can get 160 gigs. For $153, you can get 320 gigs, which should be more than enough. The device comes with built-in card readers for all the major card formats, compact flash, SD card. You just slide it right in there, and it'll automatically copy off the card. I think the difference between this and the Epson is it's not a great screen. It's just a hard drive with a little screen. The Epson is really designed for you to preview the pictures with a very high-quality screen. And then when you get home, you plug it in via USB. It becomes a USB drive, and you just copy the pictures off. I'm going to have to get one of these. What a great solution for somebody traveling. If you need to back up your pictures, the PicPac. Now, I haven't tried it, but and it's only got 3 stars on Amazon. Let me just see what the negatives are. Poor battery quality. Well, that's okay, right? Because you're not going to use it all the time. You're going to plug it in probably when you use it. I think this is a good idea. You should really back up your pictures as you take them, especially if it's a trip somewhere like Egypt where you're probably not going back for some time, if ever. The Pick Pack Wolverine. Now, somebody in the chat room pointed out you could probably get a netbook with a 160 gig hard drive for just a couple of $100 more. That's true, but if you don't want to bring a computer, this is small, lightweight. Good idea. The Wolverine Pick Pack. We were talking about cruises. I forgot to mention Mac Mania 15, which is a cruise I'm going on next November. Not next month, a year from November. November 2012, Mac Mania 15. We're going to Australia for 2 weeks. And I do these Mac Mania cruises every year or two. It's really fun. Usually 100, 150 Mac fanatics gather on a cruise ship. This case, we're going on the, I think it's the Westerdam, which is a Holland America ship. We're going to go to Sydney, Newcastle, Brisbane, Hamilton Island. We're going to see a total solar eclipse mid-ocean. Then go on to New Caledonia, the Great Barrier Reef. It should be a lot of fun. And I'll be lecturing on it along with Don McAllister, my friend from Screencasts Online, Allison Sheridan, and Wally Cherwinski. At least. It should be fun. Anyway, I just want to let you know about that. It's probably hugely expensive. And it is 2 weeks out of your life, but you're going to have a great time. If you want to know more, insightcruises.com. Just wanted to mention that. I don't, Blue Card's asking me in the chat room, how much is the cruise? Probably, if you have to ask, you can't afford it that expensive. But you can actually price it on the website. They have cabin, ship info, and they even have a little pricing calculator. These tend to be kind of expensive, these trips. Given that you're getting 2 weeks on a luxury cruise liner, it's all-inclusive, all meals, and you get to see all this amazing stuff, it's actually probably a good deal. It's not the Westerdam, it's the Oosterdam, which is a great ship. I've been on this ship before. It's the Australia Eclipse Cruise. November 7th through the 21st, 2012. Bill in Phelan, California. You're next. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Bill.
Hi, Leo. How you doing?
I'm great. Welcome. What can I do for you?
I'm your old Planet of the Apes buddy.
Yay! How's things going?
Oh, excellent. I've hit over 41,000 views just on that one little video.
Well, that's amazing.
Yeah, and in case anybody's wondering why I didn't put anything else up, because you kept telling me put more stuff up, I have been working on a editing program that I decided to go with. You suggested Adobe Premiere Elements, but I also heard guys on your show talking about Lightworks.
Yeah, Lightworks is free.
Yeah, I got the Lightworks.
Excellent.
You can work with it in levels and then decide if you want to purchase a special console and keyboard for it. So if you have a virtual keyboard on screen, and then you can go to the other keyboard manually so that you can do it, dexterity. You can do it by finger.
Neat. Yeah, no, Lightworks is an open source project. Was Windows only. They're now putting it on Linux and Mac, and I've been very intrigued. So have you used it yet?
Yeah, I've used it a little bit. I've been playing with it, and that's why no more YouTubes went up. I want to make sure I get it right first. And it is very good. It kind of handles like a Moviola. It's like a virtual Moviola, and that's why a lot of the digital guys have been talking it down and not liking it, because they're used to the Final Cut Pro and the Adobe.
Right.
They've been adding drag and drop, and they've been adding other features. And the good thing about Lightworks is, and I'm not doing a commercial for them, I'm just intrigued by it myself, they are very responsive. You talk to them, and they respond right away. I've already been in touch with them by phone, and they just get back to you immediately.
Well, that's kind of neat, because it is free, right?
It's absolutely free. You can download the entire thing and the 300-page manual and all kinds of guides and everything. And they've got chat rooms, and they give you help. You do have to purchase technical support if you want it on a regular basis, and that's how they make their money.
Well,
they
of course,
sell the technical support.
I mean, this is open source software; it's free. And then if you want somebody to support you, in most open source software, you're just going to count on some enthusiast and the goodness of his heart. I think it's good that they offer free or paid support contracts. That's a great solution. Well, good. I would love to know more about Lightworks. I don't know anybody who's tried it. Lightworksbeta.com. So keep us posted, Bill. And by the way, what's your YouTube channel so people can see your ape?
The YouTube channel is Bill Blake SPFX, as in shorthand for special effects.
SPFX. Bill Blake SPFX at youtube.com.
Yeah, you had it in the show notes before, so I don't think they have to really repeat it or anything.
We'll put it in the show notes again. How about that?
Well, Leo, I really appreciate it. I'm not trying to do a commercial. I've got a technical problem today, actually, and
All right.
just wanted to talk up the Lightworks because it was one of your recommendations.
Yeah, and I'm very curious about it. I mean, it has the advantage of being free, which is a big advantage for people, especially kids who want to get into video, but can't afford to spend, even $100 on Premiere Elements.
Oh, real quick, too, let me make this comment real quick, too. Turns out I got the lowdown on why Lightworks is kind of like a best-kept secret. They were kind of competing with Avid in the, 90s, 80s, and 90s, and it turns out that, I don't know, their business model or something just wasn't working right, so they got overshadowed by Avid, kind of similar to the VHS Beta Wars where
Right.
Beta
So it was
better.
a commercial program that then just went open source.
Right, and then they got acquired by other companies who took it to open source, and that's where they're at right now.
Very interesting, huh? Well,
Yeah.
thank you for that update. I appreciate it, Bill.
Absolutely. Well, here's my problem today, Leo. I've got a very nice HP 9750, DV 9750 desktop replacement laptop, 17-inch screen. But from the beginning, it's always had a little problem with the secondary cooling system. And now it's kind of gone out completely, and the computer's kind of dumped on me. I have to get it serviced, and I can't do it myself because you can't get in there to get to that fan. It's actually grating right now. If you try and turn it on, it's like it's falling apart inside the computer.
Oh, that's bad. That probably means the bearings on the fan went out. A fan is a spinning device and has bearings usually, and if those go bad, they sound crunchy. It sounds like something's gravelly in there, and that's probably exactly what went wrong. You can get that, and you probably should get that fan replaced. HP laptops are notorious for overheating, by the way. They don't put enough cooling in there, I think. But what I would recommend until then is go online and get a USB laptop cooler. They put it under the laptop, blows air at it, and does a good job, and it's cheap. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
And you know,
I was wondering how you're going to handle that.
Well,
It's your
you
birthday.
scared me there.
It's your birthday. It's your birthday. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hey, could you get Dick on? I don't have the right. I don't have the right thing here. Do you know how to do that? Somebody out there, my crack staff, or did you get lost in a corn maze? They're all lost in a corn maze. We'll get Dick DiBartolo, Mad Magazine's maddest writer, and the Gizwiz. We'll get him on in just a minute for his Gadget of the Week. Tell you what, while we're doing that, why don't I get another caller on here? Paul in Toledo, Ohio. You're next. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hello, Leo.
Hey, Paul.
How are you today?
Very, very
Hey,
good.
Believe it or not, I'm going to one of those corn mazes tonight with my wife.
Oh, yeah, I think they're all over the country now, aren't they?
Oh, sure, yeah. My question for you, real quick, you must get it at least once a show now that it's out, concerns the Apple iPhone 4S.
Yes, which is sitting right in front of me.
Okay, and I'm getting it through Sprint for my two daughters. They're both in college, and should I get the 16 gig? Is that adequate, or do I have to pay another $100 and get the 32 gig?
Well, I got the 64, but
yeah, I know.
But I'm just a glutton. I think the issue that you have to really address is for yourself, and maybe only your daughters could tell you this, is how much music and film and video they want to store on there. The iPhone itself, 16 gigs is plenty for the apps and kind of incidental use. But if they have a whole music library they want to put on there, then they might need more.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
That iCloud community.
Well, I'll tell you what, and you know what you might do is get them Spotify. Of course, that ends up being $120 a year, but Spotify, you don't have to download music; you just play the music streaming. So I think I would bet, and I look at my kids, and I gave them 16 gigs, because kids today they don't want their whole music collection on their phone.
Right.
You know, they don't need all of that. They just they want a few things on their phone.
I just wanted to be sure it wasn't underpowered, because mostly one's in graduate school, the other's in vet school, running the university proprietary applications on the phone and stuff like that.
You know, apps don't take up that much space. 16 gigs is plenty for apps.
And one of them wants to keep at least 2 email accounts on board.
That's fine, too. Those don't usually take up much space. You know, I think 16 is probably enough unless you're storing a lot of music or video on there.
I don't think they'll be doing that. Just mostly.
What a nice dad. That's a great gift. Yeah, that's a great gift.
Well, thank you very much for that answer,
Yeah,
Leo.
my pleasure. Take care, Paul.
Bye.
Yeah, I think they'll be happy. And get the 4S. It's so much fun. And the better camera. And iCloud is nice to have because then all the pictures they take get streamed up. Ladies and gentlemen, here he is, all the way from Disneyland. Dick DeBartolo, Mad Magazine's maddest writer, and our gadget guru. Hello, Dickie D.
Leo, how you doing, pal?
Very well.
Good.
What do you got
I have
for
some
us?
of your family here, too.
Is my sister there?
It's just Grady, Will.
Wait a minute. You're kidding me.
No.
Hi, Eva. Hi, Will. Hi, Grady.
Well, they're in the kitchen now making dinner for themselves.
Oh, they're moving in again, huh?
Yeah. No, I'll turn the camera around later when we do the weekly Daily Gizwiz.
Great. We'll get a chance to see him. That's great. So, Dick, what do you have for us this week?
You know, we have a gadget that you may already have because when I talked about it on the weekly Daily Gizwiz, you said, I'm getting one of those right away. And it's a gadget I did not buy, but my friend Dennis Wonderland bought, and it's the Yamaha P95 digital piano.
I've got it in my foyer because it's in 4 boxes and I haven't assembled them yet.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, Dennis plays the piano, but like me, we live one floor above each other with 2.5-room apartments, and he had a piano, but when he got into computers and digital art, the piano had to go, and he missed it. So he said, but you go shopping with me. I'm looking for a piano. I don't play the piano. But we went down to Sam Ash Music, where they had about 50 digital pianos. And he had read a lot of reviews about the Yamaha P95. And he played it, loved it a lot. It's a full 88 keys. Not only does it do piano, but it does jazz organ, pipe organ, strings, harpsichord,
I can't wait. We're
vibraphone.
setting it up tonight. I can't wait to play with it.
It weighs 12.5 pounds. Dennis loves the sound quality. 2 headphone jacks.
That's nice.
So that
you don't rock out the neighborhood.
Exactly. He doesn't rock out me. That was
Forget the neighborhood. Think of your downstairs neighbors.
Exactly. He lives one floor above. And, sometimes I'll call him we're both late night people. I'll call at 1 a.m. and he doesn't answer the phone. And I know he's playing the piano on his headset.
With his headset. That's so great.
Yeah. So it has built-in speakers, 50 built-in songs. It even has a little recorder. If you want to just record one piece of music to see how you played it.
Oh, that's neat.
It has very small
Does it have
recording.
a USB connector? Could you hook it up to your computer?
It has a MIDI in and out.
Perfect. That's what you need. It's MIDI.
It's
awesome.
MIDI.
Awesome.
And $550. The list is $900, but $550 on Amazon and at Sam Ash Music.
And I got the $748 kit, which included
a
stand, the stool.
Show us up.
Well, it's for my son because he's really into music. He wants to learn the piano, and of course, a real piano is very expensive and takes up a lot of room. This is an electronic piano, and I think nowadays, because he's really into synthesizers, that's probably a great thing. Hey, by the way, happy birthday! I understand your birthday was recently.
It was great. I went to a Broadway show, and at the end of the show, I got a standing ovation. But not to embarrass me, they only faced the stage.
Oh, I love it when that happens.
But I knew it was for me.
It was
I
for
could
you.
feel it.
Yeah. What show did you see?
Anything Goes.
Was it good? Oh. In olden days, a glimpse of stocking was looked upon as something quite shocking. Now, heaven knows. If I sing any more, we'll be shut down.
Anything that you don't know about?
Anything goes. Dick, great to talk to you. Hang in there. Don't go away. We're going to do the Daily Gizwiz in just a little bit, the weekly Daily Gizwiz right after the radio show. And, of course, Dick's website, gizwiz.biz. That's where you can play his What the Heck Is It contest, a chance to win an autographed copy of Mad Magazine. Actually, you got another week. It runs out at the end of the month, right?
Yes.
Awesome. Gizwiz.biz. By the way, you had recommended on the weekly Daily Gizwiz the Energizer iSurge
Okay.
It came because this is the this has got the connector for the iPhone. It charges, hangs on the wall. This is for travel, and then you get one plug, charges the iPhone, has 3 more plugs and a USB port and a nightlight. And then you turn it on, and the whole hotel goes dark when you blow the fuse. But
exactly. One thing about that, they have changed one thing. It won't charge the iPad, the USB, so you have to plug it in the front.
Yeah, that makes sense because the iPad needs 10 watts, and I think that's probably just too much to ask for this little bitty doohickey.
And rotatable plug if it doesn't fit the way you want.
Yeah, I like that. And you need that because it's otherwise, if you plug it in this way and sideways and try to dock the iPhone, it just falls right out. I don't.
Wow.
Yeah.
I wonder why.
Yeah, I wonder why. Gravity. It's you can't get around it. You can't live with it. You can't live without it. Dick, we'll talk in just a few minutes with the weekly daily GizWiz show. I'm out of time, actually, so I want to thank Kyle Benham, our musical director. Kyle will post a playlist of all those crazy songs he played on Google+. We'll also put it on the website, techguylabs.com. We do that every day, every show. Thanks to Gina Yates on the phones. Thanks to you for joining me. I'll see you next time. I am Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy.